Hey y'all, welcome back to another week of Coffee and Composition. I'm April Sojourner Truth Walker, president of A Little More Truth LLC, and this is our series to take the woes out of your next writing assignment. And if you are anywhere in school right now and you're nearing the end of the semester and just a few steps away from summer, you are probably thinking, I don't even feel like watching any more writing videos. I don't want to do any more writing. I'm tired of writing. Well, we hope that you will stick with us because we're halfway through our series and we know that we are offering some valuable information to help make your writing journey a little easier as you're getting closer to summer. So, this week we are doing part 2 of sentence variations. We learned a lot last week in part 1 of how to vary our sentences within our paragraphs. And this week we're just going to continue to build upon that and vary up those sentences. Remember, you don't want a lot of simple sentences throughout your paragraph. You don't want your paragraph full of compound sentences. You want to show that you are a very skilled writer by varying your sentences within your paragraphs. So, as always, we're going to grab our coffees and we'll get started with part 2 of sentence variations. All right, so this week we're going into part 2 of our sentence variations, but as always, before we get started, if you need any help, make sure you check out our website, alittlemortruthllc.com, to see how we can help you or your student. So the most common question I get asked with sentence variations is, are there any rules for how often I should vary sentences in a single paragraph? The answer is no. Sentence variation is really just more of a stylistic thing, which means there aren't as many hard rules. So you need to use your discretion. Every new sentence doesn't have to be a different type of sentence. So you don't have to have a compound sentence and a complex sentence and a simple sentence and then do it again. You just want to kind of use some discretion, and this is where your voice really can shine through. What I see as students' most common challenge? Writing longer sentences that aren't grammatically correct and thinking this is sentence variation. So again, if you go back to our sentence series from the fall, you'll know that just because a sentence is long and convoluted doesn't mean that it's grammatically correct and doesn't mean that it's a better sentence than a short sentence. So don't think writing a longer one makes your sentences varied in your paragraphs. So how not to vary sentences. These are a few tips if you need just a quick reminder of how not to vary your sentences in your paragraphs. Don't make each sentence a different type of sentence in your paragraph like we talked about previously. You don't have to, every sentence doesn't have to be different. Don't use the wrong sentence type for the content presented. Again, this is where we're really getting into the style and the art of writing. So if you're trying to express a really big idea, it may be better sometimes to put it in a compound complex sentence than a simple sentence, but you need to use your discretion and your voice and your artist's toolbox to know which sentence is going to be right for your content. And then finally, just don't include sentence fragments. You know I talk about these all the time. Sentence fragments are big problems that I see students having. Don't include sentence fragments and think that you varied your sentence. All right, so let's look at a sample paragraph. In Topic of Cancer, Hitchens discusses chemotherapy, even calling it chemopoison. He talks about the 14 pounds he lost, his hair falling out, and him losing his ability to taste. Luckily, his chest hair did not fall out, but some spots being shaved for the various tubes and needles that the doctors needed to stick in him made it patchy. So this sentence that I just read and is highlighted here is a bit clunky as I wrote to the student, and it slows the pace of the student's essay at this point. I would consider taking out that sentence to get the parallel between Hitchens and the father faster, which is a point that they were making earlier in their essay. But again, this is going to be up to the student's discretion. If they want the reader to be slowed down at this point, they can stick with that clunky sentence, or they can take it out and put a simpler sentence in there to get more directly at the parallel they're trying to make. And then the rest of the paragraph just says, Hitchens' chances probably were not great, seeing as how his disease was in the late stages, which means his chances of beating his cancer were small. This is much like my grandfather's case. Now you see at the end, the student has a very simple sentence that really ties in the personal story that they're trying to relate to this more analytical paragraph that they're providing about the essay that they were writing about. And it's just a really great example of how a simple sentence can either introduce a paragraph really well or tie up a paragraph really well. So again, that clunky sentence in the middle, though, is taking us away from getting to that really just delicious, simple sentence at the end. So what's the key takeaway this week? Well, you got to know when and how to vary your sentences, and that takes practices. I would suggest that you try reading drafts aloud to hear when a new type of sentence may work better. So if you're like gasping for breath in the middle of your paragraph, that may be a time to put in a simpler sentence or just a complex sentence. If you're feeling like each sentence is just very short and choppy and you're not really getting the flow of what you're trying to say, you may try a compound complex sentence here or there. But reading aloud tends to help students know how their work is actually being perceived versus what they think they're trying to communicate. All right, so as always, if you feel like you need more help and you need more tailored approaches to writing, visit us at a littlemoretruthllc.com, and we will see you in the next video.